In the aftermath of World War II, the United States stood as a victorious power, yet victory brought new fears. The Soviet Union, once an ally, was now a looming adversary. In the shadows of this new geopolitical chessboard, a secret organization was quietly born in 1947, the Central Intelligence Agency. Its mandate was simple on paper: gather intelligence to protect American interests. But its true mission soon expanded into something far more dangerous. The CIA would not just watch history unfold, it would shape it. Washington realized that traditional warfare was too costly and too visible. What was needed was a quiet weapon, an invisible army, a group capable of waging wars that were never officially declared. And that is exactly what the CIA became: puppet masters of power. The early years of the CIA were marked not by observation but by action. In Iran, 1953, the agency orchestrated a coup that overthrew Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh after he dared nationalize his country's oil, threatening Western profits. A few months later, in Guatemala, the CIA once again pulled the strings, toppling President Jacobo Arbenz for challenging the dominance of American fruit corporations. These early coups revealed a chilling reality. The CIA had discovered the power of invisible influence, capable of toppling governments without a single soldier in uniform. Behind the curtains, foreign leaders lived and died by decisions made in dimly lit offices thousands of miles away. These actions didn't just secure American interests, they established a precedent. If a government anywhere in the world dared to challenge U.S. influence, the CIA would be there. Whether through propaganda campaigns, bribes, or assassinations, the message was clear: no leader was safe from the invisible hand of American power. Yet every victory carried the seeds of future resentment, and entire nations began to see the United States not as a liberator, but as a manipulator. Dark science and control. But the CIA's experiments extended far beyond politics. In secret laboratories, scientists conducted mind control programs under the codename MKUltra. Unsuspecting citizens, prisoners, and even soldiers were subjected to drugs like LSD, hypnosis, and psychological torture, all in the pursuit of weaponizing the human mind. The program's goal was terrifying: to create perfect spies, erase memories, and even program assassins. Victims were often left broken, their lives shattered, and their stories silenced. The public would not learn of these horrors until decades later, when fragments of files exposed just how far the agency was willing to go in its quest for dominance. MKUltra wasn't just about science, it was about control. If the CIA could bend the human mind to its will, there would be no limit to the power it could wield. But in the process, the agency crossed moral boundaries that no government should ever approach. The fact that so many of the documents were destroyed in the 1970s only deepens the mystery. What horrors remain hidden, buried in classified vaults, may never be known. As the Cold War escalated, the CIA's hand reached deep into Southeast Asia. Beyond the jungles of Vietnam's battlefield, the agency waged a secret war in Laos, arming local tribes, financing militias, and dropping more bombs on the small nation than were dropped in all of World War II. Entire villages were erased, lives uprooted, and yet most Americans never even knew the war existed. To this day, Laos is scarred by unexploded bombs that kill and maim civilians, decades after the CIA pulled out. Yet these efforts could not prevent the tide of resistance. For every puppet installed, another rebellion rose. The CIA's operations had entered a cycle of endless intervention, each attempt to control the chaos only creating more. Vietnam became a nightmare not just for American soldiers, but for the intelligence community that believed secrecy could replace strategy. In the end, the jungle swallowed their plans whole, leaving behind a trail of destruction that still haunts Southeast Asia. By the 1980s, the agency's role in shaping global conflicts had become undeniable. In Afghanistan, the CIA armed and trained Mujahideen fighters to battle the Soviet Union. Billions of dollars in weapons and training poured into the region, producing fearless fighters who would one day evolve into the Taliban. and provide refuge to Al-Qaeda, planting the seeds for America's future wars. At the time, these fighters were hailed as heroes, freedom fighters, resisting communist oppression. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, these same men turned their guns against their former allies. In Nicaragua, the CIA funneled money and weapons to the Contras, rebels fighting the leftist Sandinista government. These shadow wars were fought in secret, hidden from the public eye, until leaks and scandals exposed them. The Iran-Contra affair revealed that the CIA was not merely fighting enemies abroad, it was deceiving its own citizens, bypassing Congress, and manipulating the truth to keep its wars alive. The revelation rocked America, but by then the damage was already done. Thousands had died, nations had been destabilized, and the United States had lost a piece of its credibility on the world stage. Aftermath of September 11, 2001 brought the CIA into sharp focus once more. While some claimed the agency had failed to prevent the attacks, others argued that decades of covert operations had sown the very chaos that allowed terrorism to thrive. In response, the CIA was unleashed like never before. Black sites, extraordinary renditions, and enhanced interrogations became its tools in the war on terror. These methods, criticized as torture, spread fear not only among America's enemies, but also among its allies. The agency that once operated in shadows was now accused of creating them. From Afghanistan to Iraq, the CIA became central to the new face of warfare. Drones replaced soldiers, surveillance replaced strategy, and secrecy replaced accountability. The agency that once manipulated foreign governments was now deeply embedded in America's own endless wars, its actions shielded by the banner of national security. The cost was not just financial, it was moral. The United States was forced to confront the uncomfortable truth that its protectors had become aggressors. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because the truth may be stranger and darker than fiction.